Hey, thanks for coming back and joining us. We're here at Village Bottle Shop and Tasting Room in Kaka'ako, and today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite styles of beer, the Saison. It is a unique beer because it's kind of hard to classify, but it's beautiful, refreshing, crisp, and everything you want that you can drink throughout the year, especially here in Hawaii where it's hot all year long. So here we have a Saison. You can see it kind of has an orangish golden hue. It's a beautifully light colored beer, and it's typically, between 6 and 8% alcohol. And the defining qualities of a Saison really vary because the Saison was brewed in Belgium as a farm beer, and you'll sometimes hear it referred to as a farmhouse beer, and that's because it was brewed in the winters by farmers for their workers in the summer, where they could have something that quenched their thirst because water wasn't always safe to drink. So these beers were meant to be really, really light and very dry. Those are two things that all Saisons want to find in them, that they're light-bodied and dry. From there, Saisons get their character primarily from yeast. So a lot of the flavor attributes that you're gonna find in a Saison come from their yeast character. And that's what makes Saisons really cool, is because no two are alike, just because of the way they're brewed and the way the yeast is used to ferment the beer, which is really neat because you'll get a lot of different flavor characteristics out of different brews. And each brewer kind of uses their interpretation of how they ferment and make the beer on their own. So with Saisons, they're really simple beers. Just a few malts, water, hops, and yeast. So Saisons are normally pretty hoppy for Belgian beers, but they're not going to be hoppy in a sense of an IPA. So you're not going to get a strong bitterness, but they're meant to have a really clean, crisp finish, and that's what the hops do. Primarily, they're German hops, Belgian hops, Czech hops. It's the typical, but a lot of American brewers started throwing in American hops to add a beautiful sort of citrusy and tropical fruit flavor on top of the yeast characteristics. The cool thing about Saisons, again, is they were sort of brewed with what was available. So sometimes it's 100% Pilsner malt, other times they threw in wheat or spelt or rye or what was available at the time of brewing. And that's transferred over to modern day brewing, where a lot of American craft brewers and even Belgian brewers use a whole variety of different malts that throw into their Saisons. So that's another thing that you never really find two alike, and no brewer is really going to be able to define why their style of Saison is better or different than someone else's. They're all just very unique. Right, so here we have 4 different Saisons that we currently carry in the bottle shop, and they're really fun because they're all very different, like I was mentioning. And right here we have Saison DuPont. This is the classic, world-renowned Saison. It is sort of the Saison that sort of sparked the Saison resurgence in America. It's a very simple beer. It's dry, very light in color, sort of a golden orange hue, extremely crisp. There's a good hop bite to it that keeps it dry and refreshing. And it's something that you can pair with any type of food, any type of meal. It's one of the most food-friendly beers you're gonna find. I highly recommend, if you're getting into the Saison style, you've never had a Saison before, start with Saison DuPont. You can't go wrong. You're going to a dinner party, take a bottle of this. It pairs with everything, especially sort of appetizers, salads, seafoods, chicken. It's on the money. You can't go wrong with this. Next we have Omegang's Hennepin Saison. This is out of Upper New York State. It's a beautiful sort of American brewed Saison. The different thing here is that they actually add different things to it. So you have grains of paradise, which is sort of like a pepper, you have orange peel, and you have ginger. So it adds to the spice characteristics that you're already getting from the yeast. It's a little more full-bodied. It's still very dry, very crisp, very drinkable, but you're gonna get a little kick from that grain of paradise and the ginger, and then you're gonna get a little touch of that sort of citrusiness from the orange peel. Next, one of my favorites from Mystic Brewing out of Massachusetts. Here we have Brett Renaud. So their Renaud Saison that they brew is a very, very simple beer. It's 1 malt, 1 hop, yeast, and water, and that's it. Very simple, bone dry, super crisp. Here, they add Brettanomyces to it, and then they let it sit for 8 months in a barrel. And what Brett does is it adds a little bit of more of that farmhousey funk. You're gonna get a little more grassy hay, more robust kind of rustic flavors out of it. It is very dry, very crisp. If it's a hot summer day and you want something refreshing with a lot of character, this beer is it. A little bit of peppery spice in there that kind of gives it a little bit of snappy on the back part. It's a beautiful beer. If you find it, buy it, try it, drink it when it's hot outside. And finally, Deschutes Cultivator. Now this is a really unique beer because it's a Saison that they age in Chardonnay wine barrels. So you're getting those dry, crisp characteristics of a Saison, but then you're picking up a lot of oak and barrel notes out of it, which makes it really fun to drink because it sort of expands your, the style, and it gets something different in there. So you're gonna pick up a little bit of vanilla, toasted oak, sort of the deeper wine characteristics out of it, but it's still a beautiful, light and dry Saison. All right, so that's a very basic introduction to Saisons. It's a fun style. It's a style I recommend everyone try. It's beautiful for hot summer days. It's great with food. There's so much complexity going on in Saisons that I really recommend everyone giving it a try. Find some bottles. You find it on tap every once in a while. Cheers.